camera settings when shooting the Northern Lights. These basic settings are the same whether you use a phone or a camera. The F number tells how wide is the hole in the lens that lets the light through. The smaller the number, the more light the lens lets through and the better it is to shoot in a dark environment. ISO number means how sensitive the camera is to light. The higher the number, the more sensitive it is. The exposure time means how long does the camera take the shot. Before you go outside, you can change the white balance somewhere between 3500 to 4000K. If possible, shoot in RAW format, that way you can adjust white balance later and the quality of the picture is as good as it can be. I myself struggled with the white balance in the beginning. The inside white balance mode made pictures look too blue, but I didn't like the sun or the cloudy mode either. And in my camera I couldn't just write the Kelvin number, so it was a bit hard to start with the white balance for me. Then I started to shoot RAW. As shooting the Northern Lights you need long exposure times, so you will need a tripod. If you would shoot handheld, camera would easily shake and ruin the pictures. You should also put your self-timer on, because you don't want the camera to shake when you are taking the picture. First, put manual mode on. Then switch off any image stabilization. Then switch manual focus and focus on a bright light in a distance or a star. I have always found some light to focus on in every place I have photographed Northern Lights. I think it is easier to focus on a light than a star. Then set the ISO value to 1600. Then set the f value as low as you can, for example f2.8 or in many kit lenses f3.5. Then put your shutter speed at 5 seconds. Then if you can get a picture of the Northern Lights, then adjust the shutter speed and ISO value the way you want. If the Northern Lights are slow, it might be a good idea to use longer shutter speeds, for example 10 seconds. If the Northern Lights move fast, then it would be a good idea to take shorter shutter speeds, for example 1 to 3 seconds. Long exposures will blur the fast-moving lights. If you take longer exposure times, you can lower the ISO, and if shorter exposures, you would have to raise the ISO so that the pictures won't get too dark. If the ISO number is very high, it will cause noise to the picture. So if you don't have the best camera, it would be safe to keep ISO number below 1600. On the other hand, the cameras get better all the time, so maybe you can try even higher ISO numbers, but with my equipment, ISO 3200 is causing too much noise. And the overall idea is that the lower the ISO can be, the better the picture quality. All these values depends on the situation you are photographing. In bright moonlight and snowy bright landscapes, the ISO number can be even 200 or 400. But if it's totally dark, no moon or light pollution, the ISO 1600 might not be enough. One very important thing is that if you shoot long exposures, it can leave star trails in the pictures. Sometimes star trails can be very cool, but if it isn't your agenda, it can look funny that the stars look like a small strokes or lines. So how to avoid this? There is this basic rule 500 divided with your lens's focal length. But when shooting with cropped sensor camera, the rule is 350 divided with the focal length. For example, if I want the stars to be spots with my 14mm lens, I would divide 350 with 14 and the result is 25. So my maximum exposure time with 14mm lens would be 25 seconds, which is very long and would blur the moving lights. But if there is just static lights in the horizon, I could try with long exposures. My 22mm lens maximum exposure time would be 15 seconds, but with 50mm it would be only 7 seconds. It is easy to check, are the stars okay? Just zoom in at your picture and look at the stars. It is good to know these basics and then just test some more to find the right balance. And the hard part is that the chances you get to test are so few. So be patient. Nobody is perfect at the beginning and practice makes a champion. I am also still learning, so remember that these are just my opinions.